Hey, it's Michael Douglas. Welcome back to another episode of Dr. Pundit, where we talk about music and not medicine. And Paul McCartney, John Lennon, the two principals in the Beatles. Some may argue the most important Beatles, for various reasons, I'm not sure. But two of the most out there, in my opinion. And I kind of ran across this online here. And what did John Lennon really think about Paul McCartney's success? Was he jealous? Was he not? You know, it's no secret, obviously, Paul McCartney, right out of the box, had the greatest success and obviously the most lengthy success for a lot of reasons. Of course, the assassination of John Lennon, certainly, and is part of that as well. Ringo Starr, George Harrison, all four of the Beatles had their own #1 hits, and they all had, of course, successful post-Beatle careers. But in terms of formation of bands, John Lennon had the Plastic Ono Band, Paul McCartney had Wings. But with the latter, no one really thought about that as Paul McCartney's band. They just thought about Paul McCartney, who was backed by these other musicians and had this succession of hits. It could have been, he could have been a solo act and just had a bunch of session people behind him. So at one point, believe it or not, between 1972 and 1978, Wings outsold the Beatles. If one compared album sales, singles at those particular points in time in that 5 to 6 year period to the Beatles from, say, 1965 to 1969. And if you've ever wondered what John Lennon thought about Paul McCartney's success with Paul McCartney's second band, Wings, well, I'm here to tell you. Wings got off to a rocky start. And they weren't instant successes, but once they hit their stride, there was really no stopping them. And they became a mammoth success for McCartney, who wondered if he was ever going to have that kind of success again after the Beatles' fallout. John Lennon was famously critical of Paul McCartney, and he had some surprisingly positive words for Wings at the time. And of course, he's talking about Band on the Run, the album from 1973, which was just a wild success. John Lennon said, "Band on the Run is a great album. Wings is almost a conceptual group as the Plastic Ono Band." Plastic Ono was a conceptual group, meaning whoever was playing was the band, and Wings kept changing all the time. It's conceptual. They're backup men for Paul. It doesn't matter who's playing. You can call them Wings, but it's Paul McCartney music, and it's good stuff. John Lennon wasn't always complimentary of Paul McCartney's music, but he knew to give credit where credit was due. And while John Lennon's comments paint him as a Wings supporter, generally, other opinions tell a different story according to Beatleographers. John Lennon was jealous of McCartney's success with Wings. His former songwriting partner's stadium-filling sound was apparently a sore spot. Radio personality Elliot Mintz, M-I-N-T-Z, once said of John Lennon, "He spoke lovingly of Paul, but then when John was not making any music between 75 and 80, Paul had these mega hits with Wings, and John became insanely jealous about that. He was jealous about the amount of attention and accolades and the fact that Paul was filling stadiums." While John Lennon may have been jealous of Paul McCartney's successes, there was really no reason for that feeling. Paul McCartney and John Lennon operated in different spaces after the Beatles, and to me it's like an apples and oranges comparison. There was room enough for both of them to effect their impact on popular music without these silly comparisons. But I always like looking at stuff like that, just to kind of think about the dynamics between these massive icons in music. And this is just another example why. I'm Michael Douglas. If you like what you're seeing here, please don't hesitate to like and subscribe. And as the late great Barry White always used to say, let the music play. And I'll see you on the next episode.